Aloha, everybody. This is Cathy Bilsky, the Quantum Leap Let Light Unite show on UPRN Radio, and this is May 15th, 2020. Well, how are you all doing with wearing your masks? And I just want to say, guys, please be careful, and remember to breathe. The air can't get any better. So, when you can, open up your window, stick your head outside and breathe. If you're walking and nobody's around you, you might want to slip the mask on and get some really good air. And, I've told this story before about my girlfriend who was in line, who wore her mask, and she was in line for toilet paper, okay, first in line. She put her mask on and she almost passed out because she wasn't getting enough oxygen. Now, when she was down on the floor, the first thoughts from her were, I'm not going anywhere in an ambulance because I'm not going to give up my line for toilet paper. So it took her a couple of days to recover. So, use your common sense. That's all I'm saying. And, there's a lot of things like me, I know you're at, where we can't control things, but there's one thing I can control, and that's where I put my energy. And I wanted to tell you guys, we're doing another quantum leap. We're going to call it Light Revolution, and we're going to have it on the 4th of July. And if all works out, and Joe's going to be around that weekend, we will also do it live on radio. It's time. So put that on your refrigerator. It'll be 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock. 3 o'clock Hawaiian time, 6 o'clock Pacific time, and then 9 o'clock Eastern time. And I think in Australia, it'll be the next day around 10, 11 o'clock. But I'll give you more details. It's time we do another quantum leap. We can choose where to put our energy. And it's all about enlightenment. And that kind of ties in to the guest that I have on tonight. And his name is Dr. Walter Bretz. And he's going to talk about propolis. And I have to say, when I heard what Dr. Bretz was doing with this, I got really, really excited. And I had to ask him to come on to my show. And you know how easy it is to get guests lately. Of course, he said yes. Welcome, Walter. Thank you for coming on. Now, can I give you, tell everyone who you are?
Sure.
All right. Dr. Walter Bretz is a microbiologist and geneticist. He has performed research in biological scientists at 4 academic centers in the U.S. that include University of Michigan, University of Texas, Cancer Center, University of Pittsburgh, and New York University. Has conducted research on propolis for the past 30 years. He's the author of a recently published book in Brazil entitled Propolis, Far Beyond a Natural Antibiotic. Now, the book is currently being translated into English language and will be available to readers in the U.S. and Canada in the fall. All right. So, Walter, what's propolis? Why should I get excited over
it? Well, propolis is a substance, a compound produced by bees, wherever they are, whatever vegetation they inhabit, they go and mix their saliva with the pollen of plants, and they bring it back to the hives, and they form this shield around the hives that protects the hives from invasion, from infections, and from any type of challenge that that can be posed to the hive.
There's a lot of uses for propolis, isn't there?
Oh yes, there are many uses of propolis. Many.
Well, one of the things you mentioned, that it was something that could help us get through the COVID-19.
Oh yeah, I was gonna get into that later on. I think that we can go through other things before that, but I'm gonna at the very end of it, I have a tip on that for the coronavirus, and I will definitely share that with you.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get back to propolis. Well, give us some of the healing properties of propolis. You said it could many different uses.
Yeah, it's propolis dates back to ancient times. It was used many years ago. In Egypt, it was used during the World War for wound healing. It has many anecdotal reports of its use, like people saying, "Oh, I got better. I used propolis, and I had a sore throat, and I got better with it by using it." I was fishing at the Amazon River, and malaria was a reality there. And by using propolis, I prevented myself from getting malaria. And anyways, there are many uses of it. But in terms of healing, we know that there are specific compounds in propolis that have powerful healing properties. So if you have a scar, if you have a wound, and you apply propolis on it, you see how fast that lesion is going to heal. And another application of it is in diabetic ulcers. It's a very effective way of using propolis as well. People who have diabetes and ulcers should use propolis on their wounds because they're going to benefit from it.
Well, I had someone ask me, what's the difference between propolis and honey?
The honey is the simple answer is that the honey is a nutrient as well as propolis, but the difference is that you use to sweeten your foods, to derive pleasure, and the honey itself contains propolis as well. But propolis has many medicinal uses that the honey will not have.
Sort of like an upgrade on honey.
It's a much higher upgrade on honey, much higher. In terms of medicinal uses, it's definitely much higher.
Well, you've been doing the research for 30 years. How did you start?
I started when I was at the University of Michigan. I was a student at the University of Michigan. And in one of my trips to Brazil, I'm Brazilian, by the way, and I met with my father, and my father mentioned to me that one of his patients, his doctor's patient, had prescribed to him propolis for a certain condition. And my father was intrigued, by the fact that that patient was using propolis, and coincidentally, my father had a patient who owned a bee farm, and that patient brought to him propolis, and I brought it back to the US and started researching since then. But this was precisely 30 years ago. My father got me into that.
Wow, it's amazing. So how easy is it to get propolis? What's the current market for propolis worldwide?
The three biggest producers of propolis are China, Russia, and Brazil. I'm not very familiar with the markets in China and in Russia, but I'm familiar with the market in Brazil. Japan buys almost 80% of all the propolis in Brazil.
Wow.
The Japanese use propolis for everything. Everything. If you go into the web and you search for propolis in Japan, you'll be surprised with the amount of products and the availability and the uses of propolis in Japan. So not that many people know that, but it's as I said, they buy 80% of the propolis in Brazil, and a lot of propolis is produced in Brazil, a lot.
Wow. Um, well, how are the bees that produce propolis important to the pollination system?
No, I mean it's not in terms of production of propolis. I wanted to raise that issue because the propolis is important for us, and for that we need the bees. But in the process, the bees are also important for our for the simple fact that we don't want to starve in the years to come. And in order to prevent starvation in the years to come, we need pollination. Pollination is what gives us food. And the recent or the most recent widespread of pesticides around the world, and I don't know if probably the audience has heard about it, the collapse of bees in the U.S. has been dramatic because of the use of pesticides. The European community is regulating many of the pesticides because of pollination. So it's a serious issue, because if you don't have bees, we don't have food, and we don't have propolis. So it's important for the public to be aware that the pesticides are extremely detrimental to the bees' lives.
Well, does it matter to what the bees pollinate with, to how powerful the propolis is?
Not really. It's the pollination is in and of itself a process that they go around and they go from plant to plant, from fruit to fruit, and it's random, to say the least. But the production of propolis itself, it's very specific. They thrive on certain plants. You have different types of propolis. You have brown propolis, red propolis, and you have green propolis. Those types of propolis, they are derived from different types of plants. So it's two mechanisms. The pollination is random. They are pollinating everywhere, and it has to do with food. The types of propolis and the propolis itself, it's based on a specific vegetation that the bees are attracted to.
So what are the bees that create the red propolis fed? What do they eat?
Yes.
What flowers?
The bees that produce red propolis, they come from areas of swamps where you have a specific tree that bleeds a red oil, and they pick on that and they produce propolis back in the hives. It's very specific. There are very few areas in the world that have red propolis, one being the northeast of Brazil, Cuba, and Venezuela. Those are the only places in the world where you can find red propolis.
Can you grow those trees?
It's not the growth of the tree. It's not the trees in and of. These trees are located in swamps. You could probably experiment. I don't know of anyone experimenting on planting them in other areas of swamps, because there are areas of swamps around the planet. I don't know of any, but they come specifically or are found in swamps in the northeast of Brazil, in Cuba, and Venezuela. And by the way, it's a wonderful propolis. It's very new in terms, propolis has been used, as I said, since ancient times, and it was not only until 2006 that the chemical compounds present in red propolis were described. So it's very new. It's about 14 years old. It's a sensation. Let me put it this way, in terms of attributes, properties, and it's almost triples the effects of green and brown propolis. It's a potent antimicrobial. It's a potent antioxidant. It's a potent anti-cancer compound. It has many, many attributes that not the other propolis are good as well, very good. The green and brown, but the red it's even superior. It's much, much better.
But it's harder to get. So are the
It's
other
hard to get, but it's another thing that we'll speak at the end of the talk. I have compiled many sources of propolis, including red propolis, for the audience. They can go on sites and look up. So I have a good compilation of information for the audience.
And then they would get that by emailing you?
Yeah, they could get the compilation of knowledge, uses and sources of propolis. They can get it from me. I have this list of websites, and you can give them my email, and I would be glad to pass that along to them.
And if it's all right with you, I can always put it underneath the advertising for the show information.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I know you've looked at Hawaii's propolis. So what does Hawaii have? Just normal brown, green propolis, or?
It's normal brown propolis.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is found, it's Hawaii it's more tropical, or not totally tropical, but more tropical than you would say than Europe and another, the far east, but it's reasonably close to brown propolis.
Okay. What kind of scientific evidence can you give for propolis use? What are the studies that are out there? Yeah,
it's important for the audience to understand that any substance, any compound that you're studying, everything's going to start in the lab. You're going to place the propolis with cells, with bacteria, with proteins, and you're going to start to look at all of the interactions between propolis and the many cells that are available to study. So those are called laboratory studies. That's where everything starts. When you see the interactions, you see the effects, and say, oh, this works. Now let's go to the next step. Then you have animal studies. You're going to study that usually in rats, and you're going to see the effects, the beneficial effects, if they are indeed present. Most of the Nobel Prizes that we see in science are derived from animal studies. And the ultimate proof of whatever you're trying to prove for propolis are going to be human studies, where you have three main types of studies. One is a descriptive study. You looked at a population and you provide them with propolis, and you have before and after results. So they were sick for a certain reason. You gave them propolis. They got better. There you go. So this is one type of study. It's not the ideal study. The ideal study is going to be randomized trials, where you give propolis to a group. The other group, you're going to give a placebo or a positive control group. You give something else. The people who are providing the study don't know what the groups are. The patients don't know in which group they are. So you eliminate bias. It's a very clean study that you can really prove if the thing works or not. And in the book that I've written, I describe all of the studies, the laboratory studies, the animal studies, and then I describe about 50 clinical trials with propolis, where they would be accepted in the medical domain. Okay, the physicians, the medical profession is very reluctant to accept alternative methods of prevention and treatment of certain diseases. When you have randomized trials or clinical trials, you are giving them no excuse to accept and at least respect what is being proposed. So this scientific evidence is there for propolis. As I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, many anecdotal reports throughout the years, gave a status to propolis that it really worked, but there were no scientific studies to back that up. And now there are over 5,000 publications on propolis, and this is in the past 10 years. So it's a lot of people studying and looking at propolis everywhere in the planet.
Well, let's talk more about the therapeutic properties. And one of the things I want to know, is it good for arthritis and joints?
Yeah, I mean, it is, because, let me start by saying, propolis has, I'm going to describe here, and if I miss some, forgive me, but I should be able to tell, perhaps almost all the properties that have been studied. Propolis has antimicrobial properties, anti-fungi properties, antioxidant properties, anti-parasitic, against parasites properties. It works in the oral cavity against dental decay and gingival inflammation, against otitis media, which is ear, when your ears are infected. It works for sore throats, for respiratory infections. It has immunomodulatory properties. In other words, it boosts your immune system. It has over 12 properties. It has, in terms of the joints, that's more, it's not a property, but it works for arthritis in the sense that it is an anti-inflammatory compound. It's a very potent anti-inflammatory, so it helps tremendously the rheumatoid arthritis because of the anti-inflammatory properties.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. I'd be interested in trying it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you talked about the many different kind of vehicles in medical terms. So let's talk layman's terms.
Yes.
And what do they put propolis in?
Yeah, the vehicles, what I mean by vehicles is that for all of these conditions, I've given the anti-properties of propolis, for all of these attributes, there are many vehicles, and by that I mean you can find propolis in rinses, in capsules, in tablets, in facial creams, in extracts, in candy, in nasal spray, in oral spray, in soaps, in toothpaste. There are several, the vehicles are the many forms by which you can consume propolis. So there are many, you see in the websites that I have described. And by the way, I don't derive anything from advertising those sites. It's just a compilation that I made for the public, so they can benefit and can go after. And so I'm disclosing that I don't benefit a cent on passing those this information. And so you see on those sites that you have, depending on the condition that you have a specific vehicle that will help you with your condition.
Can you get it? I know I've gone through these sites, but is it available in your normal health food store yet?
Oh yes, if you go to health food stores, you're going to find propolis there. I'm not going to say that you're going to find all the vehicles, but you're going to have, for sure, you're going to have the extract, the liquid solution that it's always available on. And with that, you can play, you can ingest, you can mix with cream and use on your face. Oh, by the way, not many people know that, and I forgot to mention that in terms of propolis properties, the cosmetic industry has used propolis in its formulations for many, many years, because propolis is a wound healer. It prevents acne because it's antimicrobial. It has anti-aging effects. It has antioxidant effects. So you won't see that described in formulations, but the cosmetic industry has used propolis for many, many, many years.
So you're saying, in effect, it reoxygenates the lungs in the body, in a sense.
No. What I say in cosmetics, I say in cosmetics for facial creams, for your skin. It's a very good substance for your, especially for women who are into creams and anti-aging and treating, hydrating your skin. And propolis is wonderful for all of that.
Well, you mentioned asthma, right?
No, I mentioned
asthma.
No, I didn't mention asthma. I said in cosmetics.
Okay.
Cosmetics, not asthma. No.
Okay. All right. Well, it's good to be clear.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I made myself unclear. I'm sorry.
Well, how can we relate propolis to the coronavirus, and how can it help us?
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question here, in the sense that we know that the vast majority of cases and deaths that are happening right now due to the COVID-19 are mostly in people who are immunocompromised, so that their immune system is already compromised. So if you want to have some strategies to maintain your immune system in a state of alertness and that it's functioning well, there are some strategies that you can use. One, you can eat well. You can eat fruits, vegetables. Two, you can use a lot of rest. Sleeping is important for your immune system. You can exercise. Those who can exercise will benefit from that by also helping their immune system. You can go to the sun and get some vitamin D, 15 to 20 minutes per day. That will also help your immune system. And you can ingest propolis. So the propolis has been studied as an immunomodulatory compound in over 500 scientific papers. So everybody who understands propolis knows how good it is to use propolis for the immune system. So, and the tip here is, if you have access to propolis, and you can get that in health food stores, be it green, brown, or red, you're going to use 10 drops of propolis in 2 fingers of water in a cup, mix it up, drink that in the morning before you eat, and the same dosage at night before you go to sleep. And you're going to be helping in a very simple and inexpensive way your immune system.
Now, if you're trying to get rid of parasites, would you take the same dose?
Exactly. And if you want to balance your gastrointestinal system, you would do the same thing. If you want to prevent sore throat and colds, you're getting one shot and addressing many issues.
Would it depend on, though, if you're a big person or a small person, a child or an adult?
Yeah.
Would you get this?
In children, we use 4 to 5 drops of propolis. In adults, if you have normal weight, it would be 10 drops per 2 fingers of water. If you are overly, overweight, in a significant way, I would use 15 drops per 2 fingers of water. But normally 10, yes.
Can you overtake it? Can you take too much?
I mean, it's not advisable. I think that's, the normal dosage would be 10 drops, in 2 fingers of water. But I mean, anyone could overdose, but it's not recommended.
Well, what do people get allergy reactions from it?
Yeah, that's another good question. There are people who are going to be allergic to a variety of things, to different things all over our planet, and it's inevitable, and it's not different with propolis. If you want a safe, number one, if you want a safe way of using propolis and you're not sure that you're allergic or not to propolis, what you can do is to do a little patch and place it on your hands and wait for 3 days, because you could have a delayed reaction. Wait for 3 days. If you don't see a reaction, you're not, on your skin,
Yeah.
you're not.
You mean the wrist or the hand itself?
I want to go on the dorsal of your hand, right here. Okay. You could use on your arm. It's just on a specific area of your skin. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And actually a non-specific area of your skin. And if in 3 days you don't see a reaction, you're not allergic to propolis. If you are allergic to propolis, there are certain strategies that you can use. If you go see a anthroposophic doctor, he will run certain diagnostic tests on you, especially in terms of nutrition. And he will advise you to use certain foods, and will give certain prescriptions that will help you ingest the propolis without exacerbating an allergic reaction. So those are the 2 ways of dealing. One is I make sure I'm not allergic, I'm fine, I can use it. Okay. If you are allergic, then you consult your anthroposophic doctor, and he will help you go through if you wish to use propolis.
Yeah, if you're allergic to like the brown, would you possibly not be allergic to the red?
I don't know. I don't know that. I really don't know if that would be the case. Although they are different chemically speaking, they share many of the compounds. So it's possible that if you're allergic to one, you would be allergic to the other one. But I don't know that for a fact.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So the only place I could actually get the red propolis then would be from Brazil or Cuba.
Well, actually, no. In the U.S., you see there are two companies in the U.S. They are Brazilian companies there, but they are based in the U.S. and you can get red propolis from them. You see in the websites that I described to you, the U.S. based. There are 2 or 3 U.S. based websites. There you're going to find red propolis.
Wow. And then again, if I wanted to learn more about it, just go to your web to email you, because you've listed everything we need to know.
Yeah.
And where to get it. So if they want to find you, it's walterbretz@gmail.
Yes, .com.
Okay, that's WALTER B as in boy RETZ @gmail.com.
Exactly.
Very cool. Anything else you want to share with us about propolis?
No, I think that's basically it. And I'll be glad to take questions, to any doubts that the audience may have. I'll be glad to do so.
My audience is trained to listen.
Pardon me?
My audience is trained to listen, and we listen for information. So they very rarely ask questions. And I don't think my producer's hanging around to pick them up. What can I say?
But so if they wish further clarification, I'll be glad to do so. They have my email address, and I'll be glad to do so.
Have you ever put out a YouTube video on it?
Actually, that's something that I'm working on. When I launched the book, I have several Instagram lives on it, and by bringing the book to the U.S., I'm going then to do the same thing. I'm planning to bring the book to the United States, to Spain, and to France. So I'm going to have to adapt to all these languages, lives and information that I'm going to share, with the public in the respective countries.
Wow. All right. So the name of your book is Propolis: Far Beyond a Natural Antibiotic. And if you speak Portuguese, you'll be able to read it, right?
For the time being, yes. Eventually, we're going to have it in, as I mentioned, in the U.S. and Canada in the early fall.
Well, that's exciting. Thank you very much for coming on, and I wish you luck. And you're going to have your own line of propolis, aren't you? The red propolis?
Oh, yeah, I'm involved with red propolis. So I've been developing some systems, that pretty soon they're going to be in the market. And we work with a bee farm in the northeast of Brazil, and we are producing some. Maybe that's another talk that eventually we'll have, because it's different combination therapies, and where red propolis is involved, and it's pretty exciting, pretty new stuff.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing all this, and I'm going to let you go then and do a little bit of energy work with everybody that's hanging out. And I hope you do come back, and we'll talk more about propolis, and especially when your book gets in English, and we'll have you come back on.
Thank you for having me, and good health to everybody.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Wow, everybody, pay attention to that and start looking for propolis in your area. I know I'm going to check my local health food store and see what I can come up with. I am in for health, and anything I can develop my immune system and do it naturally, I'm there. So I just wanted to remind everybody, Light Revolution is going to be on July 4th, and I hope you will all participate. It's time for us to do another quantum leap. You know, what's our choices? New World Order, forced vaccines, masks over our mouths so we can't communicate and speak our voice. I don't think so. We have another choice, and that's world enlightenment. And again, that's what we're destined for. And it's going to take effort on everyone's part. And all it is energy on your part. So, you know, if you're going to be home, why not join and give it energy? You know, let's make it a big quantum leap. Let's make it the last one we've got to do. And then what goes after the quantum leap is earth cleanup and helping people that the dark side is really screwed up and helping their lives get back together. That's what's after the quantum leap. When everybody is awakened and they know better. And they start acting the best part of them. And so for 1 hour, we're just going to do some chants. And, you know, if you want to put this on your refrigerator, the basic chant is, may divine enlightenment awaken within everyone now. May divine enlightenment, May divine enlightenment descend on everyone now. May divine enlightenment awaken within everyone now. And we do that, you know, like 3 times, and then we'll tweak it a little bit so we cover a full hour. And, you know, that's what group energy is all about when we come together as one group with one voice saying the same thing. And you got to admit, calling down divine enlightenment is pretty generic and everyone can actually join in. So next week, what I want to do is, I came across a really special article that that's about Donald J. Trump and the mob and being possibly a confidential informant. So it's going to be kind of like story time. And I'm going to read you the story about Trump and the mob. But to me, when I heard it, it explained why he gets away with everything. Unbelievable, but believable. So that'll be next week, and we'll do a little bit of energy work. Now, if you want to do some energy work with me next week, then check out my Facebook page. I do live as much as I can. And again, you know, you can also go to Facebook and join the Light Revolution 2020 group and help us amplify it and talk about divine enlightenment. We need to put those thought forms out there. Talk about light revolution. Talk about quantum leaping the world into divine enlightenment. People need to know that there's another choice. And unless you put it out there, how are they going to know where else they can put their energies into? So make a little bit of effort, you know. Check me out on Facebook page, and I'm on LinkedIn, and the information is there. And let's do it this time. Get a group together. When 2 or more are gathered in my name, and then you put a big crystal in between you, and your energy work is amplified even more. And that's some of the tools God gave us to help us go into the age of divine enlightenment. And I'm ready to put effort into it. I hope you are too. And then after that, we get back into doing more energy and light work. And we'll keep at it until the 4th of July. And depending on what happens, I have no idea. I know what I would like to see happen. And it's getting there. And hey, if you know anybody famous, you know, tell them about Light Revolution. Have them give me a call. Let's get it going. All it takes is one person that's famous, and they know people, and then the ball is rolling. So you can contact me on my Facebook page, on Twitter, YouTube. You can find me under Cathy Bilsky. My website, www.angelightom.com, ANGELITEOM.com, or you can call me at my store direct at 808-775-9400. You know, the more ideas, think about how you can help the quantum leap go forward. And even if you just go on Twitter and some of the social media and just start using the words light revolution, quantum leap, enlightenment, divine enlightenment. Come on, you can be brilliant about this. You're putting those positive thought forms out there, which people need right now. They are looking for something. So let's give it to them. You know, let's create something incredible. And it's all about group energy, guys. You know, let light unite. Enlightenment is the goal. And once the world is in divine enlightenment and people are reconnected to the Creator, everything else will fall into place. You're working for peace, meditate peace. That will be there. You're working for the earth. People will be conscious and want to help clean up because they're connected to the Creator and they know better. So what we're doing every time we do energy work and sending it out there is we're sending energy out to all those people that are ready to tip into divine enlightenment and become an awakened spiritual being. So keep up the work. And, you know, write on your refrigerator wall, may divine enlightenment descend on everyone now. May divine enlightenment awaken within everyone now. You can chant that while you're doing dishes, while you're walking, the dog, you know, taking a bath, taking a shower. The more you do it, the more light you're putting into the air, into the energy. And it's going to help us shift. So thanks for tuning in tonight. And this is Cathy Bilsky, the Quantum Leap, Let Light Unite show on UPRN Radio. And this is Friday night, May 15th, 2020. Have a good, safe week. And please be careful when you wear those masks. Don't pass out. Make sure you breathe some fresh air. On that note, I'll say aloha.